Thank you for joining this generic version of the welcome session for those who are not able to participate in our live versions. This version will hopefully still provide you with all of the resources you need to navigate the coalition. It will be slightly less interactive than the live version, but we hope that it will still be valuable. And if you have additional questions, you can reach out to us at coalition@adama.org for follow-ups. So you're on the call today because you are representing your organization, which has already signed on to the coalition. So I want to start with gratitude for your organization, which has made a courageous step in joining this initiative and committing to creating and implementing a climate action plan. Special appreciation to you. You are serving probably as your organization's liaison or one of your organization's liaisons to this coalition, which means that you're engaging on behalf of your organization in a whole new arena of learning and leadership. And that's not easy. So I'm very grateful to you for stepping up. So here are my goals for this presentation. First of all, understand our work, not in isolation, but as part of a broad movement and a particular historical moment. Understand what is a climate action plan and the structure of the climate action planning process. Learn about the resources Adama is offering and how to access them, and there are a lot. Learn about communities of practice and how to engage in them, and leave with clear next steps for your climate action plan. So let's get started. Let's talk about this coalition's role as part of a broader movement. On September 15th of last year, 2022, 20 major national and international Jewish organizations launched the Jewish Climate Leadership Coalition. The goals of the coalition are simple: to mobilize the organized Jewish community to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions, and more broadly, to take collective action to mitigate the climate crisis. Adama is the convener of the coalition, and your organization is one of hundreds that have already signed on. That's tremendous, but we are not stopping there. The goal of the Jewish Climate Leadership Coalition is to support 1,500 Jewish organizations over the next several years to engage in climate action. And in addition to all the Jewish organizations mentioned, we are a part of a broader movement of faith-based and secular organizations committing to take action to reduce their own greenhouse gas emissions and to engage in collective efforts to help our society transition to a more sustainable future. This moment is hopefully the start of a long journey together. This is a multi-year coalition. Climate scientists say that our next major deadline for climate action is 2030. And that also happens to be immediately after the next sabbatical, Shemitah year, the end of the 7-year cycle, which in the Jewish calendar that repeats every 7 years. There's a saying that most people overestimate what they can achieve in 1 year and underestimate what they can achieve in 10 years. So this coalition is a structured opportunity for us not to squander the next few years and not to underestimate what we can achieve. Also, new federal government incentives from legislation passed in the United States are making climate action more affordable than ever for US-based organizations. Author and activist Rebecca Solnit talks about hope as a choice that's balancing between extremes. On one extreme is ignoring the problem and dismissing it. It's a soft kind of denial, not that the problem exists, but that it's urgent. It's an excuse not to take action. On the other extreme, it's easy to fall prey to a sense of overwhelm and despair about the futility of our actions, which in itself is an excuse not to take action. Instead, author Rebecca Solnit posits that hope is a choice. It's an active decision that our actions do matter. So our goal and your goal on behalf of your organization is to find the path between those extremes. Yes, a single action is small, but you're part of a big and growing movement of Jewish organizations taking action. And yes, some impacts of climate change are already here, but we have an opportunity, if we take action, to meaningfully change and avert the worst impacts of climate change in the years to come. So your actions now matter. Let's talk about the climate action planning process. Let's review where we're starting and what's happened up till now. To join the Jewish Climate Leadership Coalition, your organization's chief executive or rabbi signed the coalition's founding statement. It designated you as staff liaison or lay liaison to lead your organization's climate action work, and committed your organization to develop, share, implement, and evaluate an organizational climate action plan annually. Climate action plans are documents that detail the strategic priorities of an organization's climate work. They detail climate actions taken to date, and they set goals for reducing greenhouse gas emissions in the coming year. I want to talk a little bit more about your role. As staff liaison, or some of you might be a layperson filling this role as well, you face in two directions. You represent your organization to the Jewish Climate Leadership Coalition, and you represent the coalition and climate action back to your organization. What that means is this: you'll be the main point person from your organization to engage with the resources Adama is offering. You'll attend the relevant learning sessions, office hours, community of practice, or you'll be the one to loop in your colleagues when relevant. You know, for certain sessions, you might loop in your facilities manager or executive director, etc. You'll also work in the other direction. You have been designated to lead your organization through the climate action planning process. Now, that does not mean you need to have the authority to approve a final climate action plan. It means you'll be the one to pull together the relevant stakeholders, to draft a climate action plan that fits your organization, and then to move that plan through your organization's process. It's a real leadership role, and we want to make you as successful as possible in that role. There are no requirements for how you go about this, but one best practice is to find supporters so you don't need to go it alone. You can create a climate action team at your organization. Ideally, that team would have diverse representation, maybe somebody on the facility side, somebody on the program side, maybe an engaged lay leader or board member. And here's a timeline for action to make this all more concrete. Today, I hope you will leave with clear steps on your climate action plan. Beginning in early 2023, actually, sorry, I didn't edit that sentence. Already begun in early 23, there has been a robust calendar of Adama offerings, which we'll explore later in this session. And you will have the rest of 2023 to engage in learning and work on your climate action plan. And then climate action plans are due on Tu B'Shvat 2024, so January of 2024. Tu B'Shvat is the 15th day of the Hebrew month of Shvat. And it is the new year for the trees according to rabbinic tradition. In modern times, it's been embraced as a day of renewal for the Jewish environmental movement. And ultimately, Tu B'Shvat is a Jewish day of nature accounting. It's taking stock of the past year and looking ahead toward the future. So similarly, we wanted to use this date to account for our climate action work. What is climate action? Let's talk about what a climate action plan includes. To make this work more straightforward, we at Adama have created a framework that buckets climate action into two major areas of focus: achieving organizational net zero greenhouse gas emissions, and moving beyond the walls of your institution to address climate change more broadly, what we are calling expanding impact. Within these two areas of focus are 7 main climate solutions. We expect that no one organization will be doing all of these 7 solutions at one time. The idea is to use this as a framework of options to determine where to begin and to give us a roadmap for where we are headed, hopefully over the course of time. So let's talk through getting to zero emissions. We've identified 4 solutions through which an organization can ultimately achieve net zero greenhouse gas emissions. They are, first of all, source clean electricity. Purchase clean electricity from the grid or from your energy provider if you are able, or produce your own, for example, with solar. And go electric. Make a plan that documents any non-electric appliances like gas furnaces and boilers and when they will expire. You could even consider gas-powered cars, and start planning now for how to replace them with an electric version. These 2 first solutions together go a long way toward getting your organization to zero greenhouse gas emissions over the course of time. Also, reduce your emissions. You can make energy efficiency retrofits if you have a building. You can adjust your food and travel practices regardless of whether you have a building. And you can, if you have a campus, manage your natural resources to sequester carbon through what's called nature-based solutions. And finally, some greenhouse gas emissions, at least for the moment, are unavoidable. So for those that you cannot eliminate, you can purchase vetted greenhouse gas offsets. These 4 solutions are where Adama will have the greatest number of internal resources to support your organization's climate action work. And I'll talk about those resources shortly. But first, reducing institutional greenhouse gas emissions alone will not get us to where we need to be. So we've identified a second area of focus for climate action work, namely expanding the impact of your organization's climate action beyond your own operations to impact broader efforts addressing climate change. So for each of the following solutions, Adama brings a number of resources, and we've also identified expert partners who can support your organization. First of all, education and nature connection. This is things like engaging your community through programs, celebrations, learning moments that ground us in our connection with Earth and inspire collective action. So some examples of the resources we'll be referring you to. There's the Jewish Youth Climate Movement, which is a program of Adama that engages youth and young people in climate organizing. There are immersive experiences and immersive retreats at the Isabella Freedman Retreat Center in Connecticut and the Pearlstone Retreat Center outside of Baltimore, Maryland, facilitated by Adama. And in many cities across North America, there are local and regional organizations that specialize in Jewish outdoor food farming and environmental education that we can connect you with. And Adama has a robust library of curricular resources that will be available to coalition members. Advocacy, advocating for climate smart policy, whether on a federal level or on a state or local level. For some examples of strategic partners we will refer you to who have deep expertise in this area, there's Dayenu, a national organization building a movement of American Jews confronting the climate crisis with spiritual audacity and bold political action. There's Jewish Earth Alliance, a grassroots network working to engage Jews in policy. And there's the Jewish Youth Climate Movement that I mentioned. And finally, finance, choosing organizational investments, endowments, and banking relationships based on their climate impacts. And again, partners we'll refer you to include Dayenu, which has recently launched their All Our Might campaign focused specifically on supporting organizations with finance. There's J-Lens, an organization that explores a Jewish lens on investing and serves as the bridge between the Jewish community and the values-based impact investing movement. And there's Faith Invest, a global network that empowers faith communities to invest in line with their beliefs and values. So that's the structure of a climate action plan. 2 areas of focus, 7 solutions within them. Each of these 7 solutions has a number of specific actions that you can take. So when it comes to creating a plan, we're going to help you break it down as easy as possible. Here's a snapshot of a 2-page resource we have on our website. This resource, the Climate Action Plan Overview, the Climate Action Overview, outlines the climate action plan for you and helps you move step by step through each solution and accompanying actions to guide you as you're starting to engage with this work. So I'd like to pause for a moment, and I'd like to invite you to think about your own organization. You are your organization's liaison, so you get to take charge of the climate action planning process. Take a look at these 7 solution areas. Are there areas here that you would want to start with, areas that you're most excited about helping your organization tackle? Are there obvious low-hanging fruits anywhere? I invite you to pause this recording and take a moment to think about that for yourself. Where would you want to start? Remember, you've already gotten the commitment from your organization's leadership to embark on this journey toward net zero greenhouse gas emissions. And there are many potential paths that journey could take. Some are faster or slower. It'll depend on your organization and also to some extent on you. We want to support you in this work, but you will be the one to know what's best for your organization, what to include in your organization's climate action plan this year, what to save for a future year. Now's a great opportunity to start planning ahead for the climate impacts you want your organization to be having 5 years from now. So we'll keep going. You are not on your own. We are here to support you, and there are a lot of resources to help. Now, membership in the coalition is free, as is access to all of these resources, and that's a bit of a problem because there's some evidence in social science research that when people receive a membership for free, they are less likely to take advantage of the services and the resources offered. Now, we want you to take advantage of all the resources I'm about to describe, but we also want to be offering membership in this coalition for free. So I want to make a specific ask that we all work to overcome this tendency and to recognize that there's tremendous value here and for you to be invested in the coalition and in your climate action plan and to take advantage of all these resources. So here's a brief overview of the resources: climate action resource guides and templates, learning sessions, one-on-one consultation and staff office hours, monthly newsletters, networking and collaboration through communities of practice, and an opportunity to apply for financial support in the form of interest-free loans and matching grants through Adama's Climate Action Fund. So let's talk first about climate action resource guides. A good place to start for you as your organization's liaison is your own education. You might already be familiar with certain topics, but others might be new to you. So for example, suppose you don't know as much about food and food waste and its impact on climate. We have a growing library of resources hosted on our website that provide a quick opportunity to read up on key points for different climate actions. And these resources are being released on a regular basis in conjunction with our bi-weekly learning sessions. So there are new ones all the time. Speaking of learning sessions, this is important. Each organization will have different climate solutions that will make sense for you to work on. So these learning sessions are organized around those same 7 solutions that we saw before in the climate action overview. Things like Go Electric or think about climate smart finance. We're also offering some specialized learning sessions that address how to tackle particular settings. For example, the first learning session in mid-January 2023 was tailored to those organizations that host conferences or gatherings. So you go to the coalition members website, which we'll talk about in a moment, to sign up for these learning sessions. And we hope you'll take advantage of these really tremendous opportunities to hear from Adama issue area experts, as well as experts from the field that we'll be bringing in, all offering clear steps for taking action on a range of solutions. Staff office hours and consultation. Core to Adama's mission is helping you succeed in moving your organization's climate action forward. So we've dedicated substantial staff time towards supporting you. Starting already, as of mid-January 2023, there have been office hours held every week by a rotating group of Adama staff members. The times vary from week to enable those of you with regular conflicts to find a time that works for you. And these are 2-hour blocks of time every week when you can drop in for as brief or as long a time as you want. There's no guarantee you'll have the time to yourself, but it could also be very fruitful to join others who are there in the office hours. And the links for the weekly office hours are available through the coalition members website. At last count, our climate action team has over 50 years of experience in climate and sustainability across a wide range of areas of expertise. We want you to show up. We want to hear from you. We want to help you strategize and troubleshoot obstacles. In addition to these regular office hours, we are offering one private 30-minute consultation to every organization that joins the coalition. So think about when you want to use your 30-minute consultation. You may want to reach out as soon as you finish reviewing this presentation to get a jumpstart on your climate action planning. Or maybe you want to wait until you've had a chance to explore some of the learning sessions and you have some technical questions you need answered about a specific topic. This consultation is a valuable and free resource, and it is up to you to decide when and how you use it. And we're making all of these resources available to you, but ultimately, you're the one who owns the climate action work for your organization. You know your organization best. You'll be the one to move the climate action plan through the necessary steps to achieve approval. We'll be offering financial support in 2023 in the form of interest-free loans and matching grants through Adama's Climate Action Fund. A number of climate smart interventions are also cost savings opportunities, especially over the long term. And Adama is actively and diligently working to raise money for the Climate Action Fund. There will be a pool of interest-free loans available for opportunities as diverse as installing solar, retrofitting light bulbs, installing new energy efficient light bulbs, and more, as well as a matching grants program. These programs are dynamic as we continue to raise money for them, so please visit our coalition members website, which we'll review in just a little bit, to see the latest, including any application forms for grants or loans that may have already opened up. And we'll be sending emails to all of the coalition members through our monthly newsletter list and otherwise as new opportunities arise. Loans will be up to a maximum of $100,000 with likely terms of 4 to 5 years. They'll have a 1.5% origination fee and they'll be interest-free. Grants are subject to some regional variation. In some areas, the limit will be $10,000, in other areas more, and those will be matching grants specifically for action that directly reduces greenhouse gas emissions. The final resource that I mentioned is Communities of Practice. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But first, we covered a number of different resources: the Climate Action Overview Guide, resource guides on other topics. We talked about office hours. We talked about learning sessions and webinars. Where do you find all of this material? On our Coalition members webpage. So I'd like to take a moment to invite you to pause this recording and walk through that webpage. It's a password protected webpage, so only Coalition members can see it. The password is Coalition. So I'll just I'll tell you out loud what the website is, because on this recording you won't be able to see the chat. The website is adamah.org, that's adamah.org/coalition members, all one word. So if you navigate to that website and put in the password coalition, you'll be able to see the Coalition members page. And if you forget, you can send us an email and we'll send you the password and we'll help you get in. I'm going to try to navigate us right now so I can screen share. See if we can just share. So here we are. So I'm going to share my screen right now with the Coalition members page. So here we are, Coalition members page. You'll see that the very first thing here is this Climate Action Overview, this 2-pager, that resource that I mentioned that's meant to be a step-by-step guide. So you get to this website and that's the first thing you see because it's the first resource we think you should probably use as you're starting to think about your climate action. So here's that Climate Action Overview one more time in a nice red button. When it comes time to start working on and eventually submitting your climate action plan, there will be a link here. And in the meantime, there are these links off to the side. So right here, it says your climate action plan here on the left-hand side. Below that are resource guides. So we'll be able to see here a number of resource guides. The topics are already up here and the resource guides will be linked as they get published over the course of 2023. Here are learning sessions. You can see upcoming learning sessions and some past learning sessions. And I invite you, as you're watching this presentation, to look at these learning sessions and to pick maybe 2 or 3 that seem like they'll speak the most to what your organization is most interested in. I'll breeze us ahead. There are office hours. Here are the dates and times for office hours, and there's one link to join them. So you can see, you can just click that link for office hours. Communities of Practice, like I mentioned, we'll talk about in just a minute, but you'll be getting customized communication to your organization based on which community of practice you are in. Here, as I continue to work our way down this menu, you'll see the media kit. So this is a great set of resources to share that your organization has joined the coalition and to let your constituents know, to let your members of your synagogue, if you're a synagogue, know, and to let your peers know that you've joined and you hope they will too. And finally, right here is the Climate Action Fund. You can see some additional information and you can see some of these applications live. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for now with that website, and we'll go back to the session presentation. Let's talk about communities of practice. We have a real diversity of Jewish organizations in the coalition. Some organizations might have a building, some might have a whole campus of buildings, some might not have a building at all or might rent office space somewhere. For some of you, decision-making is heavily concentrated in a board and a rabbi, and for others, there might be layers of staff or lay committee involvement you'll need to navigate in order to get buy-in for your climate action plan. So communities of practice are a really special opportunity for you to get together once a quarter with other organizations who are your peers. You'll be able to workshop challenges and obstacles among a group of people who are more likely to quickly get what you're facing and have valuable suggestions for how to move forward. It's a place to hear others' successes, how they navigated challenges and how they managed to overcome them, and for you to share your successes and also workshop challenges. So here's a list of communities of practice. I invite you to take a minute and locate yours. For almost every organization that has an umbrella membership body, your umbrella membership body is a founding partner of this coalition, and will be involved in your community of practice. For example, Prisma is involved in the community of practice for day schools. The JCC Association is involved in the community of practice uniquely run through JCC Talent for JCCs. And many of you already fit naturally into one of these communities of practice. But if you have any questions about which community is right for you, please feel free to reach out to us. If you're a hybrid organization and there's a community of practice that makes most sense to you, we will follow your lead. So communities of practice meet quarterly. Each community of practice is facilitated by a different Adama staff member. So you'll have somebody on Adama's side who will be getting to know you and your peer organizations pretty well over the course of time. And that same staff member will also be sometimes staffing office hours, so you can connect there as well. So as you join the coalition, your Adama staff point person for your community of practice will be reaching out once you have completed this welcome session. And communities of practice, like all the other resources we're mentioning, are not mandatory. And just like all the other resources I've named, we hope that you will participate in order to maximize the level of support you are receiving as a coalition member. So which resource are you going to turn to first? I invite you to take a moment to think about it. And we'll close the question and we'll close the presentation there. And if you have questions, you can email us at coalition@adama.org. Now, now that you've finished reviewing this welcome session, please send us an email at coalition@adama.org to let us know. We ask that all organizations attend a welcome session. It's the only required session because we wanted you to get that review of where to access all of the other resources. So now that you've watched this presentation, please just go ahead and let us know that you've done so by emailing us at coalition@adama.org. Thanks.